welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get into something we all deal with, the weird, complicated, and super emotional relationship between our brains and our bank accounts, to figure out what's really driving our financial decisions. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Think about it. We've got all these slick apps for investing, endless vlogs, you name it. More financial tools than ever before. And yet, get this, a whopping 77% of us are still feeling anxious about money. So, what gives? Why the huge disconnect? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look beyond the spreadsheets and the budgeting apps. Because the real key to understanding our money habits, it isn't in the numbers. It's all happening right up here in our heads. We've got to understand the psychology that's really pulling the strings. So this really boils down to a major clash of ideas. On one side, you have traditional economics, which kind of sees us as these perfect, rational robots who always make the smartest financial choice for ourselves. But then there's the reality, which is what behavioral finance studies. It shows us that, well, we're human. We are predictably irrational. And a lot of the time, our feelings are in the driver's seat, not logic. And here is a classic example of that irrational brain in action. Something called loss aversion. Psychologists have found that the pain of losing, say, $100 feels about twice as bad as the pleasure of gaining $100. It's wild, right? And this is exactly why we might irrationally hold on to a stock that's tanking. The idea of selling it and making that loss real, it just hurts too much, even when it's the smartest move. And another one is anchoring. Our brains have this funny habit of latching on to the very first piece of info we get. It's the whole reason a 5 for $10 deal works so well. We see that number 5 and we're anchored to it. So we buy 5 things. We probably wouldn't have if the sign just said, $2 each, even though it's the exact same price. And this all proves that getting a handle on money is so much more than just crunching numbers. I love this quote from financial educator Curtis Wall Street Carroll: "Financial literacy is not a skill, it's a lifestyle." And man, he would know. This is a guy who taught himself to read and then how to trade stocks, all while in prison. He figured out that your relationship with money is tangled up in, well, everything you do. And that lifestyle, it usually starts way back with what we call our money story. Seriously, take a second and think back. What was the vibe around money when you were a kid? Was it talked about openly and positively? Was it a source of stress and arguments? Or was it just not talked about at all? Those early beliefs, they dig deep into our subconscious and pretty much build the blueprint for our financial habits as adults. Okay, so if our brains are wired up with all these biases and these old stories from childhood, then what are we even supposed to be aiming for? Because it turns out, real financial success isn't just about having a bigger pile of stuff. All right, let's try a little thought exercise from speaker David DeLeese. It'll really put things in perspective. Just play along with me for a second. In one hand, I want you to imagine holding something you really, really want to buy. Could be a new phone, a car, that dream kitchen remodel. Got it? Okay, now in your other hand, I want you to hold a priceless moment. Something you wouldn't trade for anything. Maybe it's laughing with someone you love, watching an incredible sunrise, or just that feeling of being there for a friend when they truly needed you. Now, look at both hands. Which one is your real awesome stuff? See, the point here isn't to make you feel bad for wanting things. It's not about wanting less. It's just about taking a breath and consciously choosing what actually matters more to you. And this actually connects to something pretty profound about what it means to be human. You've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Our ultimate goal is what he called self-actualization, becoming the best version of ourselves. Money? Money's just a tool. It's the tool that helps us take care of our basic needs, safety, security, and that frees us up to chase our real passions and find our purpose. All right, so if we want to chase that purpose, we need a solid foundation. We've talked about the why and the what. Now let's get into the how. Let's build a practical financial toolkit, one that actually works with our quirky human brains, not against them, so we can support our awesome stuff. And maybe the most important tool in that whole kit is this idea right here. Forget about willpower. Seriously, relying on sheer willpower to make good money choices every single day, it's just exhausting and it doesn't work long term. The real game changer is changing your environment to make saving the easy, automatic default choice. So how do you actually do that? You put it on autopilot. You automate. Set up those reoccurring transfers to your savings account for the day you get paid, before you even have a chance to miss the money. It works. There's this huge study that showed when companies automatically signed employees up for a 401k, participation just skyrocketed by almost 50%. The goal is to make saving something that just happens, not something you have to force yourself to do. Now, if you want a more hands-on way to control spending, the envelope system is a classic for a very good reason. And you can do this with physical cash or with digital banking apps. The idea is so simple. You put a set amount of money into different envelopes for things like groceries, gas, or fun money. And when an envelope is empty, that's it. You're done spending in that category for the month. It creates this hard physical stop that just swiping a credit card can never do. And that same idea applies to these small daily habits. I know, things like making your coffee at home or always using a shopping list, they can sound kind of boring or small, but trust me, this is how you build a strong financial foundation. Every time you do one of these things, you're not just saving a couple of bucks, you're actually rewiring your brain and reinforcing a better default behavior. That 24-hour rule for big purchases, oh man, that one is a lifesaver for killing impulse buys. Okay, here's a pro tip that can save you a ton of money. You can, and you should, negotiate your recurring bills. I'm talking about your cable, your internet, your cell phone. It usually just takes one phone call. Here's the play. First, do a little homework and see what competitors are offering new customers. Then, you call your provider and ask to be transferred to the customer retention department. Those are the magic words. They're the ones with the power to cut you a deal to keep you from leaving. And all of this, the automation, the budgeting, the daily habits, they all come together under one big umbrella, your plan. Think of it this way. All those other things are the tactics you use on the ground. But your financial plan, that's your overall strategy. It's what turns a vague dream into a step-by-step roadmap. And when the stock market goes crazy or you get tempted to splurge, that plan is your anchor. It keeps you grounded and focused on where you're really trying to go. Which brings us full circle to our final big idea. Because like we heard from Curtis Carroll, this isn't just about learning a few skills. It's about building a whole new way of life. You know, at the end of the day, getting your finances in shape isn't some selfish mission. I love this way of thinking about it. Money is a microphone. It just amplifies who you already are. So if you're a good person, having financial stability just gives you more time, more energy, and more resources to do more good in the world. It gives you a louder voice. So, I'm going to leave you with this one last question to really think about. If you never had to worry about money again, what would you do with your life? Seriously, whatever your answer is, that is your real awesome stuff. And that is the true reason we're doing any of this in the first place.